Hello all, I'd like to thank you for joining us today for our joint webinar with LocateSmarter. My name is Rod Kennedy of Comtech Systems. I'll be speaking on behalf of the Collect product. And with me, I have Brandon Huisman and Brandon Medlin of LocateSmarter. They'll be speaking on behalf of the LocateSmarter product. The agenda today will be going over why we partnered with LocateSmarter. LocateSmarter will be talking about their background and their focus on their quality. They'll go over a case study and then go over with an overview of their skip tracing product. I will do a brief demonstration of the integration with Collect, and then we'll have our follow-up for questions.
All right, well, thanks, Rod. This is Brandon Medlin. First want to, say thank you for everybody who's on today's call. And it's my understanding, I think this will be recorded and then later published. So if anybody wants to review it again, I think Collect will have that available for you guys, as well as we'll make ourselves available for any follow-up questions, following this presentation. So really, to get things started, what we want to open with is probably a little bit of history on LocateSmarter. We won't spend a lot of time in this because we want to really dive into our products and more around our methodologies and how we deliver and build our products. So a little history though. LocateSmarter was built underneath CBE companies. For those of you who may not know, CBE is today in the third and first party collection space. So you'll see a lot of people on our team at LocateSmarter actually come from the collection space, which has been really beneficial in understanding kind of what our mission is as a company. So we've been in since 2012, coming into the market. What we came at the market with was trying to solve a lot of issues around data quality. And, we believe there was a better way, and where we would not necessarily receive up to 5, 6, 7 phone numbers, but how could we try to minimize it so that we focus on the right data? And so over the years, we've been able to acquire a lot of partnerships and acquire a lot of different data sets at LocateSmarter that we believe we have the coverage that you would find with other skip trace providers. Now, what we really stand on in our MO, where things really differentiate, is in our process. So on our side, we've over the years have partnered with a number of different clients, if you would, where we get a lot of feedback information. We call it disposition information. If we're talking about phones, it's likely disposition data coming off of the dialers, where we take that data, we go back to our products, and we're looking at what are our match codes, what are our sources, and really trying to fine tune those so that we're only providing the best 1-2 phone numbers to our clients. And if we're talking about bankruptcy and deceased, it's kind of a similar process. We're looking at the false positives, false negatives. And again, behind the scenes, it really has a lot to do with the algorithms and in the match logic that's being used to provide the information. So I think for today's discussion, one of the best ways to really kind of take you guys through this is for me I'll turn it over to Brandon Huisman. We'll share with you a case study that we've done here with our phone append data to kind of really hopefully speak to what I just talked about when it comes to our methodology that we use at LocateSmarter.
Thank you. Yeah, so we'll kind of go through a recent case study we did with a fairly large client of ours against another big name data provider out there. We won't name them for the sake of this webinar, but it was a big name probably everyone's heard of. So the client we did the test with really specializes in a vast portfolio type. So they're in the telecom, bank card, they do some debt purchase. So they had a really diverse portfolio that we tested with. So really the best way to go about a skip tracing test is to make sure you have a good test and there's not any bias. So the way we wanted to go ahead and do that was make sure that both us and the incumbent vendor both got the same data file to work with. We both had the ability to provide the same results, and we were able to measure us each individually. So some important metrics, for the test obviously are, total number of hits, how much is the data going to cost me, and then ultimately, what's the ROI on that investment? So how many RPCs did I get? What was my RPC rate? What risk did I get from wrong numbers, and excess data, and all of that good stuff. So that's really how we structured things. And then as we kind of flip to the next slide, we'll kind of piece through the results here a little bit. As you can see, so LocateSmarter actually provided 19% less data than the incumbent provider. So you can see there, obviously, that means that equates to less cost, less data being provided, less phone numbers on your dialer. And you can see from a return standpoint, we actually did squeak out one more RPC than the other, provider that was in the test. So really what value proposition that adds is, potentially a 19% less data going through your dialer. You have less staff beating that information up, a lot better perspective from the consumers you're calling, from a complaints perspective, keeping your reputation solid as well as the clients that you collect for. I mean, there's a lot of, I guess, impacts that, data that you dial that will have on your organization later. So really we're trying to minimize that excess and keep you focused on your returns.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll touch a little bit about on where kind of the data comes from. As Brandon mentioned, we do use data like this to go and refine our product. So we've got multiple header sources in our product, as well as some other private, as well as a little bit of public data that we constantly are piecing through. We are constantly measuring on our clients' dialers to make sure it is performing at the highest level. And that's how we were able to win this test here, was by using those methodologies.
Perfect. Okay, Rob, maybe what we can do is go to the next slide here. And, from the LocateSmarter side, to be clear, how this would work, you as a customer would still work through LocateSmarter. So we would go through a registration credentialing process, and then what we would do is work with you on setting up whether it's our phone and pen product, it's some of our other batch skip tracing products that you can see on the screen here. We would actually set up a workflow on our side for you, so that actual workflow name, which actually turns into be, I think, waterfall name in the collect system, will be passed to us. And what we can do here, Rob, is go to the next slide. So based on all of these products, what's unique, I think, about LocateSmarter is if you're just wanting to send a phone skip tracing file to LocateSmarter, that's available, right? What we'll do is we'll set that up on our site for you. The interface is already written between Collect and between LocateSmarter, and Rod will take you through that and how that works in the Collect system. But on our side, we are able to actually receive a unique name that will be set up for you when you work with our team. So whether you're setting up an actual workflow of products, you want to set up for one product, in this case, you can see on the screen as an example, a file can come to us where a record may only want a phone append, in which case our system's designed to see that at the record level and will only do a phone append. In another case, it may be a workflow one, you may name it as unique. And in that case, that record now would go through a deceased scrub, a bankruptcy scrub, and then a phone append. So there are several different combinations that can be set up. This is really to give you an example around there's flexibility when you're sending us a file and when you're trying to set up your treatment paths for your accounts. But it's really simple. While it feels maybe a little complex, it's really simple. When you call our office and after we get you set up in our platform, our operations teams will work with you in determining which products that you would like to have turned on. So that's really straightforward on our end. And then between the relationship with Collect and LocateSmarter, we feel we've done a really great job in making that very simple for you as a customer to get access to that information as the files go in and out of our systems. So with that, I think this would be a good time, Rod, maybe what we can do is flip it over to you and you can take us through the Collect system and show us how the integration works.
Okay, yeah, so just gonna actually want to touch also on the fact that it missed the slide there, is why we partnered with LocateSmarter. So we partnered with LocateSmarter for several reasons. They provide an automated skip tracing tool for more efficient processes. The single file integration makes it more cost effective for Collect users, as you won't have to get custom import maps built each time you run a different product code. And we are both dedicated to providing a solution that meets the needs of our customers. So with the integration, we've got 3 components to it. There's a contact plan that runs that would put the product for the product code, an export to get the data to LocateSmarter, and an import to bring the data back in. So when you want to run a skip trace, your collectors just simply run the contact plan associated with the product code that they're running. The plan then will just queue up a contact with the product code in the description. For now, we've picked a random priority number to distinguish it from your other contact types, but we are reviewing the possibility of adding a specific contact type for skip tracing to the contact type list. So that gets queued up, and then periodically, either you manually or with the Collect scheduler, you run the export. The file is tab delimited, and so for demonstration purposes, I've just highlighted where the product code will go into the file. And then from here, you would run an upload. So again, either manually or with the Windows scheduler that runs the batch file, and then would upload it to LocateSmarter. They then process the file, and then you will get a return file. The return file then comes back, and you can import it into Collect. As you can see with the single file layout, you only need a single map. So Collect will only import the data based on the product code or product combinations that you selected when you ran your contact plan. And that's pretty much it. I will pass it back to Brandon or to our customers for any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So from a question, Rod, real quick. So in the GoToMeeting box here, and I know I believe on your side, are they able to ask the questions through the underneath the chat section?
There's a question section in the GoToWebinar window. You'll see there's a little.
Yeah. Okay, so I think what's important for everybody, we probably went through a lot of information very quickly, but I think, Rod, it's fair to say here, obviously, any follow-up questions that, come out of this discussion that maybe from a technical side, obviously they could get in touch with you, and then anything LocateSmarter, specific, we're happy to address on our side. So we encourage you guys to go ahead and reach out to us with any follow-up questions you may have. And I will also encourage, if there's any interest, it's very simple to set up a test. So if you're looking to test the information and compare it against what you're currently provided, we're happy to do that, and as well as we're happy to answer any further questions around our data. And specifically, if there's any brochures or more information you want, or any other white papers or case studies, we have those on hand. So we encourage you to reach out to us, anything specific to the LocateSmarter products. So with that, Ron, we don't have much else on our side, and it doesn't look like we're getting a lot of questions from those that are on the call. And I apologize if I'm missing them, but from what I'm looking at, I'm not seeing any questions.
Correct. We had one user raise her hand, and so I would ask her to fill a question into the question box, and then we can.
Yeah, certainly we can give it a couple minutes here.
Okay, so she wants to understand actually two people have asked the same question. So what is the cost? So from the Collect point of view, there is no cost. The integration is included as part of membership. And so Locate would be able to answer the pricing questions on their side.
Yeah, so I think that, I think I can only probably give a general response to that, because it's really going to be product specific, obviously, here. If we're talking about one or multiple products, as well as we're going to be interested in understanding the volume. But I will say this, LocateSmarter is very, very competitive on the pricing front. So it's not anything you're going to expect to pay more for than what you're probably used to already paying today. The easiest way to understand that, how it's going to translate to your business, is to actually reach out, give us a call, and we'll have that discussion with you to make sure that you understand what to expect, so when we go through that process. And that may not be the exact answer everybody's looking for. I know it's an important question to ask. It's just hard to really say exactly what it is unless we know what product or the types of volume we're talking about.
Okay.
All right. So maybe, it looks like, I don't know if there are any other questions at this time, but if anything else comes up, we really encourage everybody to reach out to us, or obviously reach out to Collect. And we're happy to help answer any other questions that come out of this. I'll turn it over to you, Rod. Well, maybe there is one more coming in here.
a batch or individual, and so that comes down to efficiency. So you can run them individually if you want to, so you can run the contact plan and then run the export and upload, but that comes down to a question for Locate on to again, the pricing, volume pricing versus single pricing.
Yeah, so files throughout a month, right? So how pricing typically works is going to be done over a monthly basis, depending on how many transactions you do. But I think from a technical side of this, whether you choose to send one account or multiple times throughout the day, if you send one account or you choose to run a batch file, either way, it's coming to us from collect in an actual file. So we'll treat it if it's one record or if it's a million records. It's going to go through the same process on our side and how we return that information.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And
maybe one last question. Yeah, timeline. So, what we've been seeing, honestly, from an average. I'll let Brandon Heisman actually say this, so he doesn't, pin me down later. So, Brandon, what are we seeing on average processing time?
I mean, it does depend on the workflow. So, I mean, if you choose the scrub products and the full suite of data, it'll take a little bit longer. But generally speaking, I mean, if we're talking a file of less than 50,000 records, I mean, we're usually turning that around in a couple hours. But yeah, if you had a full workflow in there, I mean, that might add a little bit of timeline. But we're same day at minimum. That would be the worst case scenario. So usually a couple hours or less.
Perfect.
Okay, I'd like to thank our customers for joining us, and if you have any further questions, you can please direct them to either myself or LocateSmarter.
Perfect. Hey, thanks, Rod, and thanks everybody for joining today.